Imagine having a group of women who truly see you, who lift you up, and who remind you of your strength even when you've forgotten it yourself. Welcome back to the Doula Johanna podcast. Today, I want to share with you how a women's circle absolutely transformed my life. 5 years ago, I found my tribe by accident, and it changed my life forever. If you've ever felt alone, lost, or like you've given too much of yourself to others, this episode is for you. 5 years ago, I took a leap. I had just finished my doula training and had rented a space in a small pregnancy center here in Munich, hoping to host a childbirth class. But no one signed up, not a single registration. I felt pretty discouraged. All that money and preparation for nothing. Or so I thought. I shared my disappointment with my wonderful friend Darby, another doula who had far more experience than I did. She came up with a brilliant idea. She said, let's not waste it, let's try something different, let's host a vulnerability circle. We invited a small group, just 7 women, including ourselves. Some were fellow doulas, the others were women my friend Darby had supported through their birth. I had exactly 1 client at that time, so I was still new to the world of doula work. I wasn't sure what to expect, but when we all sat down in that room, something magical happened. Picture it. 7 women, most of whom didn't really know each other, sitting in a circle. There was a little bit of tension in the room, like we were all a bit unsure of what to say. But then we started sharing. We shared about our struggles, our guilt as mothers, our fears of not being enough. And suddenly, the floodgates opened. One by one, we each took turns sharing. We talked about the weight of expectations, the exhaustion of giving so much of ourselves to our families, and the deep desire to feel seen and heard for who we are. There were tears, but there was also laughter. And relief that we weren't alone. It was February 2020. A few weeks later, the world shut down and everything we knew changed. But that circle, it didn't end there. We decided to keep meeting online every 2 weeks. At first, we shared our birth stories, something that's so deeply personal and raw. One of the women, Sasha, I've talked about her before, was a relationship coach. She brought such a fantastic structure and valuable insight to our conversations. Over time, those online meetings became a lifeline. We laughed, we cried, we celebrated, and we grieved together. When summer came and we could finally meet in person again, it felt like reuniting with old friends. Even though we had only met a handful of times, these women knew me in a way that even some of my closest friends didn't. There were no old roles or perceptions to fall back into. We saw each other for who we truly were in that moment of our lives. It's been 5 years now. We still meet online every 2 weeks, and we try to get together as a group in person about once a month, though it's harder now since 2 of us have moved away. But this group has transformed my life, and it keeps on doing so. Those women, they taught me how to stand up for myself, how to follow my desires, and how to own my worth. I am a stronger, happier, and more confident woman because of them. And I can barely talk about them without tearing up. Even if for some reason I lost the circle tomorrow, the impact that Dave had on me would stay with me forever. This is the power of a women's circle. We hear so much about women tearing each other down, but let me tell you, the way women can build each other up is nothing short of magical. So when I think about that first women's circle, what strikes me most is how vulnerability became our strength. There's something so profoundly powerful about sitting in a safe space, surrounded by other women, and realizing you can let your guard down, No one is judging you. No one is competing with you. You can show up exactly as you are, with your fears, your guilt, your dreams, and be fully accepted. That's the magic of a women's circle. It's not about perfection. It's about true connection. Now let's be real. Society often pushes a narrative that women are each other's biggest critics. We hear stories of rivalry, gossip, and competition. But that's not the full story. Women's circles prove that we are also each other's greatest allies. When women come together with the intention to listen, to share, and to uplift, incredible things happen. We don't just heal individually, we heal collectively. There's science to back this up. Research shows that strong social support networks can significantly improve emotional and physical well-being. Studies have found that women who feel supported by a community experiences lower level of stress and anxiety. They're more likely to bounce back from challenges, and they are even less prone to physical health issues like elevated blood pressure or heart disease. It's as if the act of connecting with others literally strengthens our resilience, not just emotionally, but physically too. One study I found particularly striking looked at how social support impacts mental health in mothers. Researchers discovered that mothers who have access to a supportive community report feeling less overwhelmed by the demands of parenting. They feel more capable, more balanced, and more fulfilled. And honestly, doesn't that make sense? Motherhood, or really any phase of life that demands so much of us, can feel incredibly isolating. But when you're part of a group where you can share openly and hear those magic words, "Me too," suddenly the weight doesn't feel so heavy. You realize you're not alone in this. For me, I feel like it's two different worlds. If I'm watching my 3 children on my own, or if I'm with my friend and we are watching the 6 children that we have between the two of us together. Completely different experience, not just because my children are less loud or less demanding. If anything, it's maybe the opposite, but just because my nervous system is so much better regulated if I have another grown-up with me that I love so much and who loves me. There's also something unique about how women nurture these connections. It's not really about advice or solutions, even though those can also be very helpful. But what I treasure so much is the holding of space. Women's circles are about creating a container where every emotion is valid, where silence is okay, and where tears are seen as a release, not a weakness. In a world that often asks us to be strong in a way that means suppressing our feelings, these spaces give us permission to just be. And it's not just personal, it's generational. Think about how much we can model for our children when we prioritize these kinds of connections. When they see us valuing friendships, leaning on others, and showing up authentically, they learn that they can do the same. We're breaking cycles of isolation and teaching the next generation the value of community. I believe that every woman deserves to experience this kind of connection. It's transformative in a way that's hard to put into words. A woman's circle is a reminder that we are not meant to do life alone. We are meant to link arms, share stories, and celebrate our achievements and lift each other higher. That's why women's circles matter so deeply. They are not just gatherings, they are lifelines. So you might ask yourself, how do I find or start a circle like this? If you ask me, the true magic of a women's circle lies in its beginning. When you gather a group of women and create something new together, the shared vulnerability and trust that grows from that foundation are unmatched. That's why I would always recommend starting your own circle rather than joining an existing one, but that's just me. Here's what you could try. My first recommendation would be to find like-minded women. Start by putting the word out. Use your social media platforms or community connections to ask, would anyone be interested in joining a women's circle focused on connection and growth? Be as specific or flexible about the intention of the group as you prefer. You could say, this is a space to share our stories, reflect, and support one another without judgment or advice giving. Or you could say, this is a circle for single working mothers with a tech background. You'll be amazed at how many women are craving this kind of connection. Facebook groups are also a great tool for this. Search for local groups where women in your area gather or connect online. Post your idea and invite others who resonate with the concept. Remember, it doesn't have to be a large group. In my opinion, 4 to 6 women is enough to start something truly meaningful. Recommendation number 2, choose a neutral and inviting space. For the first meeting, find a space where everyone feels comfortable. Neutral locations like a rented room at a community center, a quiet corner in a library, or a private room in a cafe work well. If it feels right, you can also host it at your home, but keep in mind that a neutral space might make it easier for everyone to feel equal and relaxed in the beginning. Recommendation number 3, start with a proper structure. This is where the magic happens. Having a clear structure from the start helps everyone feel safe and ensures the group runs smoothly. Here's a format that worked beautifully for my own circle. Begin with a short round of introductions and a prompt. For example, one parenting moment I'm really proud of this week, or one thing I'm craving but find it really hard to give myself permission for. These prompts create a safe entry point into deeper conversations. Encourage active listening. After each person shares, others can respond by saying things like, I relate to what Tina said because I felt the same way when da-da-da. This builds connection without putting pressure on anyone to solve problems. Avoid giving advice, at least in the beginning. The goal is to hold space for each other, not to fix or judge. This is what makes a women's circle different from a typical social gathering. When the circle is over, wrap up with a reflection round where each person shares one takeaway or something they are grateful for from the meeting. Recommendation number 4, share the responsibility. To keep the group sustainable, take turns leading the circle. The leader for the session can come up with prompts, suggest a theme, or even introduce a small activity like journaling or meditation. Rotating leadership not only lightens the load for every single member, but also brings fresh perspectives to the group. Recommendation number 5, consider online and in-person meetings. While in-person meetings create an incredibly deep sense of connection, online gatherings can be a great alternative for busy weeks or when members are traveling. A mix of both can make the group more flexible and accessible, especially if members live in different areas. Starting a women's circle isn't just about building a support system. It's about creating a space where you can show up as your authentic self, free from judgment or comparison. It's a place to grow, to connect, and remember that you are not alone. If you've been longing for a deeper connection, don't wait. The magic isn't in perfection. It's in the courage to begin. Start small. Invite a few women who are ready to be real, to listen, and to grow together. Set the tone, be intentional, and watch something truly transformative unfold. You deserve a space where you're seen, heard, and supported. A tribe that lifts you up, holds space for you, for your dreams, and reminds you of your strength. I'd love to hear your story. What inspires you? What are you creating? And what's coming alive in your circle? Send me a DM on Instagram at @DouleJohanna or leave a comment here. Let's celebrate this journey together. And remember this, you are never alone. Your people are out there waiting to meet you. All it takes is one step. Start today. I believe in you. If you know someone or a group who would benefit from creating their own women's circle, please share this episode with them. Let's spread this message and build more spaces for women to thrive. See you again next week. Take care and be your own life doula.